everyone. Thank you, Felix and team, for having us here. Thank you, Dynatrace, for hosting. Thank you all for coming. My name is Konstantin Demblin. I'm Design System Lead at George. Before I tell you a bit more about the George Design System, I give you some context. Who is George and what does the design system power in George? George is born in more than 200 history, 200 years old banking, traditional banking. George is the online banking of Erste, and it serves more than 10 million people in Central and Eastern Europe. When you're a customer of Erste or of the savings banks in Austria, you probably know George Retail. That's a banking application for retail customers, both on web and app. There are several products when it comes to George. Retail is one of it, and all of them are powered by the two design systems we have, one for web and one for mobile. There is also George Business. This is, well, you might guess it, George or online banking for large corporate business customers, also powered and by the design system, the George Design System. And there's also George Junior for our smallest and youngest customer segment, children and becoming adults, to introduce them to the world of finance and, more importantly, to the world of financial literacy. How did this all start when it comes to George? Well, actually, it started already in 2012. There was an innovation hub founded, a small company, to do digital innovation for Erste. And one of this prototype was George, which 3 years later was developed into a product and rolled out to Austria. But it was also only in 2016 that the design team at George Labs thought, well, a style guide might make sense to give some more guidance. It wasn't a design system back then. We started with a style guide. But we started when the product was already out in the market and used by customers. From 2016 on, it expanded to now 6 countries in Europe, and everything became a bit bigger. Back in the day, in the design team, we used Photoshop, which might sound ridiculous. I see laughing faces. Yes, but it wasn't that uncommon back then because it was, well, a tool which did the job.
But it works.
Yes, of course, even better.
Sorry.
In 2018, so 3 years after George was released, we published the first beta version of our design system. In the beginning, it was hard to catch up with reality, the product we had, and to convince the teams to use our button component instead of their implementation. But we luckily managed to get fast beyond that. It was also about 2018 when we switched from Photoshop to Sketch, a whole new world. And in 22, our second major release happened. So we do a release every second week, but major releases with breaking stuff we tend to keep to do not that often. Also in 2022, we made the design system, or most of it, public, because we thought it's nice to also give others opportunity to take a look. I think everyone in the room usually looks left and right and takes from others inspiration. We did this as well, and that's why we thought it would be a good idea to make it public. Then, George Business, George Junior, and earlier this year we launched our version 3, or third iteration of the design system. The team in this innovation hub was 20 people small back in the time. Now we are more than 500. Headquarters around the corner at Erste Campus. But when it comes to the design system teams, there are actually 2 teams. Obviously, it's much smaller. There is one design system team for mobile apps. It's led by a design colleague of mine who is also responsible for the Figma app library. And there are 2 Android engineers and 2 iOS engineers. They work in feature teams on the product, and on the side they build components for iOS and Android. When it comes to the web team, the situation is a bit different. We have a dedicated team. We have 5 web engineers working on the design system for web, 3 full-time, 2 part-time, and me as a lead background designer. And I'm also responsible for the Figma web library, which we try to keep in manual sync with our code components. This is how the design system looks like. Well, it's, I think, nothing out of the very ordinary. We have a component section, obviously. We have some basic section with the guides and colors and typography, you guess it. Example section where we provide bigger building blocks to the development teams to get inspiration how to use the components, a small block, stuff like that. But maybe let me show you this, how it really works. This is, as said, our design system, the documentation of the components. We have a full list of components. Every page looks similar. There is some text to describe what the thing does. Whenever you see something on a gray background, it's the actual rendered component. Underneath you have the code snippets for it. Well, obviously you can switch to dark mode. We have some rules section for different audiences of the design system. So some rules for developers, rules for designers. If you're not happy with them because you're not a developer, you can customize it a bit so that it caters more your need. Because obviously as many people should use a design system as possible, and therefore we try to make it a bit more interesting for the different user groups. If you're in design system, you probably know Storybook. We also use a Storybook, a third-party tool, which is more interesting for developers or tech-savvy designers. Again, the full list of the components, of the web components we provide, but with the difference, less written word, less prosa, not more, but all the properties for the component. And you can easily switch and, I don't know, make this button ugly, always full width, and see how the code changes and how the component adapts to that. Another third-party tool we like to, or we heavily use is Playroom. It's also open source, and it's great for Q&A and also bug reporting. It's a developer code sandbox, and you can switch on different breakpoints and see how the stuff you wrote up, the components look and behave in different breakpoints, or you can compare it side to side, dark mode, light mode stuff. And the nice thing, of course, is you can, switch this primary dark blue button to, if I manage to type it, to secondary, and or change anything in the code. And the nice thing is you can copy the URL, send it to someone else, they open it and they see exactly what you see. We very often use this tool if a developer asks how to implement the given design with the components. We might send them back a Playroom link, or if someone reports a bug, we ask them to first try to reproduce the issue in Playroom, isolate the issue, because very often they figure out, well, in Playroom it's working, which is a good indication. It's probably not a component issue, but rather an implementation issue. Sometimes the thing still happens in Playroom. We can take a look, fix it, send it back, or file a bug report if this is true. So this is about Playroom. And last but not least, a a short overview of the design and tech stack we use. Well, for the design, as I said, we don't use Photoshop anymore. We use Figma. Actually, Figma Enterprise over the whole corporation. We use several design system libraries and libraries for the feature teams. We have a small in-house Figma plugin for design ops stuff. For 3D animations and illustrations, we use Blender. For vector animations, we use Lottie files. And yes, occasionally still some Adobe Suite stuff. When it comes to design system app on Android, they use Kotlin with Jetpack Compose and Material Design. On iOS, Swift with Swift UI. And sometimes in the app also web views. This is more when it's not a core feature relevant for all markets, but maybe a local feature. Then a web view is used, which then again uses a design system for web. Which brings me to the tech stack of that. For the library, we provide a React component library written in TypeScript and Sass. For testing, we use Jest and Storyshots for visual testing. And the documentation, thing I showed you before, is done with Gatsby. And as mentioned, Playroom and Storybook are also tools we heavily rely on. And that's it. I'm happy to answer some questions if there are. Thank you. Silence. No erased hand. Yeah.
You started working with annotation in Figma?
Sorry?
Did you start working with annotations in Figma for documentation?
For the documentation, no. For developer handoff, yes, probably. But not for the documentation. We try to have the documentation in accessible for everyone and centrally and not distributed over Figma. What we do in the Figma library, we have links to the documentation for specific or for the components of the Figma web library. We have links to the design system and to the relevant sections in the design system, so that it's more clear that this component has the documentation there. And also for web, where I think it's easier to do it for web because it's more similar to React. So Figma design library for web. We also try to have the same property names, and the component tries to behave the same as the React component does, so that if a designer figures out what the component doesn't do what they want to do, most likely the code component wouldn't do this either. So they should start talking to us. Obviously, sometimes they detach stuff, and then later on the developer contacts us because it's not possible to implement what the designer did.
Yes.
Yes.
So, how many product teams do you have which have to use your design system, and how do you cope with that adoption?
They have to use it, but I think they're also happy to use it. How many product teams do we have? I would say 15 to 20.
Oh. 7.
7, okay. Clusters, yes, sports much more. This is definitely true for app. For web, it's a bit different because the web design system not only is used for George, but also for many other applications in the countries. As we made it easy for everyone in the company to use it, they also use it for internal tools or local features. So there are probably many more teams. But to be honest, we don't know all of our customers because we made it just company-wide available, and they take it, and if everything works out, they never reach back to us. But yeah, as Christoph said, 7 clusters. Each cluster has, so from the core team working on George, each cluster has 3 to something squads. Yeah.
So you're going to monitoring of the usage of all the components?
I don't know how it is with app. I see shaking head. No, we do. We don't. For web, we have a script which goes over front-end code, but there we have only access to George, which is our main customer, and there we track component usage. But for other applications that make use of the design system, we don't track it.
Are you happy with the outcome of the tracking?
You mean adoption rate and stuff like that? Yes, I think it's fairly good. I was asked earlier, I forgot to mention that the design system, the way it's set up here at George, is I think probably different to many other design systems. We work like an in-house agency, so we don't design the components or think about, well, now this kind of component would make sense, and we build it and then advocate it to get it used. It usually works the other way around. The feature teams, usually the designers, come to us with an improvement requirement, with a new component, if there is. Then we develop it, and through that, of course, the adoption rate is much higher because there was, in the beginning, an interest to use it, and at least this team will adopt it. But usually, I mean, we don't build just for one single team. We only build components if we know it has the potential for other teams to be used.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes.
What are the biggest differences between the web and the app design system? Are the components in sync or not really?
They are more and more in sync. In the very beginning, it was quite different, and we try to bring them much closer together. Obviously, it's different platforms, but visually they are more and more in sync, and very often app influences web, and sometimes the other way around. Yeah, please, if we still have time.
One last question.
Okay, this is the last question. Thank you.
At the start of the topic, you mentioned that the synchronization is happening manually with the code. Is it the reason why there's no automation inside of it, why it's not done like automated with third parties or something?
We started this way, and we once looked into it, but back then it didn't work that great. So we keep it in manual sync and say the source of truth lies in code. So if the design is slightly off, that's okay. We can improve it. But if you know that's a button and that's the code component, this works out fine. So maybe one day we bring it into automated sync, but at the moment we don't have that. Thank you.